Hey, Steve here, and today I've got a classroom management tip. And this tip is about body language and your tone. That's right, because sometimes when a student does something that's not quite right, their behavior is making us upset. Making us, let's be real here, it's made us angry because they've done something that they should not have done, right? And so it's tempting to do certain things with our body language that sends the message that we're upset with them, as well as to use our voice to send that message as well. And what I want to ask you today is let's work on refraining from that, because that typically makes things worse. And remember, as an adult, we want to make things better. That's right. Can you say it with me? As an adult, we want to make things very good. That's right. We want to make things better. Yes. All right. So with that being said, let's talk about body language and 5 things not to do. Number 1 thing not to do: do not put your hands on your hips. Right, because it sends the wrong message. It sends that you're superior than me. I'm blaming you. I am in power, all-powerful being, whatever. The point is don't put your hands on your hip, because it sends the wrong message. Number two thing not to do: do not cross your arms. And the reason why you don't want to cross your arms is because, once again, it sends that superior being sort of attitude. Everything you're going to say to me, I'm not going to listen to. It's all wrong anyway, and you are to blame. The number 3 thing you don't want to do is you don't want to point your finger. That's right, you don't want to point your finger. You did this, you did this, you did this. It's your fault. No pointing finger, right? And number 4 thing you don't want to do is you don't want to glare. That's right, because glaring says you're not listening to me. You just think I'm guilty, 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 and therefore everything that I'm going to say is just going to make it worse. Therefore, I'm just going to sit here and do nothing, and you can't make me do anything. You're just going to make it worse. So don't glare. And the 5th thing you don't want to do is you don't want to stand over them. So if they're sitting down in a seat, you don't want to, with the arms crossed, hands on the hips, and look down on them, and even pointing, it's make things worse, not better, all right? So 5 things you don't want to do with your body language. So there's also that little tone thing, right? Remember, I told you. Remember, as adults, we're trying to make things better. Therefore, in order to make things better, we have to watch our tone as well as our body language. Our tone is that tone, that voice quality that we're doing on purpose, whether we know it or not, to send the message that we're angry, we're upset, we believe they did it. So 3 things you don't want to do with your voice when you're talking with them, when you confront them, whatever the situation is. You don't want to blame them with your voice. You don't want to send that you're angry with your voice, and you don't want to send disappointment with your voice, right? So it goes something like this: Steve, hey, you two. That's right, you two. Stop that. Steve, really? Oh my goodness. Do you see the tone in there? Don't do that. All right, so I've told you 5 things not to do with your body language. I've told you 3 things not to do with your voice. Let's talk about what you should do, because as an adult, you're trying to make things better, not worse, right? You're trying to be the adult, and that means that you're trying to make things, what's that? That's right, better. Yes. So, number 1 thing to do is keep your hands by your side. The number 2 thing to do is make sure that you are, if you've got the situation where they're sitting and you're standing, then sit down on your heels or kneel next to them. That way it takes that whole standing over sort of attitude away from it, right? The 3rd thing you want to do when you're dealing with an upset student or their behavior's made you angry is that you want to make sure that you remain calm. That's right. You want to remain calm. Don't get upset. Don't get angry. Don't start raising your voice, right? You want to remain calm. The fourth thing you want to do is you want to keep a soft voice. Hear my voice right now? Yeah, that's right. You don't want to use anything real loud. You want to try and keep your voice soft. Steve, come over here for just a second. Let's talk for just a second. All right? You want to talk in this manner, soft, calm. And the fifth thing you want to do is you want to try and keep things from getting worse. And one of the best ways of doing this is removing the child from the situation. So if you've got all these kids around and the kids embarrass themselves or something just happened, there was a confrontation or something like this, if you can remove them from that situation, oh my goodness, you're going to make it so much better. And so one of the best things to do is, if you're an administrator, just say, hey, Steve, we'll talk about this down on the way to my office or when we get to my office. How about you get your stuff and let's just take a walk with me. Or as the classroom teacher, say, hey, Steve, hang on just a second. Why don't you wait on the hall, out in the hall with me, and I'm going to get someone to come watch my class, and we'll go talk about this, all right? And then go do that. Get your neighbor to come in and watch the class while you take the child and say, hey, tell me a little bit about what was going on, and then say that you're going to walk them to the office, and then we'll have a chance to talk just a little bit about this, all right? So remember, as the adult, you're trying to make things better, not worse. So, I've given you some tips on things to do when you're upset at the student. And I've shared with you some things not to do with your body language and your tone. Hey, I'd love to have you as a subscriber. That's right. Look at the button right down here, as well as right next to my face. There's my face also, and you can push that to subscribe also. And guess what? If you subscribe, then you look down below, there's a little bell. If you click on that bell after you subscribe, every time I update my videos, you'll get a notification. Hey, thanks for listening today.